Welcome, everyone, to something we all can use more of. We welcome our PWT mentor expert, Dortha Hise, who can stretch time for us. She has a time machine. She can create time. How about that for a powerful segment? Without further ado, let's get to it.
Empowering women on a global scale. Welcome to Powerful Women Today with Carolina Billings. Powerful Women Today is on a mission of inclusion, rewriting his story to include her story, and empowering, raising, and amplifying women's voices with professional speaking, publishing, original podcasting, and web TV. And now here's your host, the founder of Powerful Women Today, Carolina Billings.
So never mind walking on water. We are creating time today in this segment. Welcome, Dortha.
Thanks, Caroline. I'm grateful to be here.
I promise it was just water in the warm-up green room. But you know what? It's such an important topic, right? Like we laugh, we joke about it, but creating time through automation for an entrepreneur is a game changer. Is a
Huge.
different way of running your business.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about the reclaiming time and the making time. What we're talking about here.
Yeah, well, I mean, really, it's getting to the heart of, effective and efficient delegation, working with a team, handing things off that aren't in your zone of genius, that are things where you spin your wheels and you're taking, say 4 hours to create something. You could hand that off, reclaim that 4 hours to do something that actually is in your joy zone.
Mhm.
And you're also handing off something that's in the person that you've hired to do that task that they're efficient and effective at. So they're getting things done that are in their joy zone as well. So everyone, it's like a very counterbalanced, nicely, beautiful, evened out equation.
Yeah.
And that freed up time for you. You've just reclaimed 4 hours. You have your sanity back. You may have more hair because you're not pulling it out at the end of the day. And it's real interesting what I start hearing from clients when they've started implementing some of these strategies effectively, because they're able to, write that book they wanted to do, or create a course, or record more videos, or whatever it is for them.
Their family. Like
Absolutely.
the life of an entrepreneur is already 27
24/4.
24/7. This is what happens to you as an entrepreneur. 24/7 as is.
Yep.
Right. So if we are able to automate through either delegation or technology,
Mm-hmm.
really, you were saying is about being faster, being better, being happier.
Yeah.
Not just for like it also, the life of an entrepreneur affects all those around us, right? Like it's our
For sure.
kids, it's our spouse, it's our family, it's our, our well-being, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if we're trying to, oh my goodness, feels like you're that little creature at the dam trying to cover everything that's at you, right? And especially, like, I don't know about you, but I have, like, there's emails that come in, right? And then there's an inbox on LinkedIn, there's an inbox in, in Facebook, there's an inbox on texting, there's WhatsApp. Like, it just seems like, okay, who sent a message via what, right?
Yeah.
It's that alone. Even just being able to centralize your inboxes, honestly, right? Or calendar. Like there's and it's not just about saving time. Yes, at the end of the day, if we could work a 4, especially in the summer, right? If we could have summer hours as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, like that would be sweet, right?
Yeah.
But it's more than that. It's also about, when we say being faster is, if a client does an inquiry, or if they send an email, or if the client, if your client, present or future client, needs something, is being able to get back to them in a more efficient and faster way, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. And being able to just in a snapshot, pop into your inbox and say, okay, these are the things I need to address. These are the things that are time critical, and these other things can wait or are, less important, or whatever kind of a system that you have, whether you color code it, or if you create something where, you come in and deal with the urgent things that are on fire, as we like to say, those items first, and then come back and say, okay, what's, urgent, but not like critical or on fire and needs immediate attention, that I can look at either later today or tomorrow. And then you're able to sort of kind of get into a groove with how that's going to flow for your day. Something I recommended for someone recently, because they were feeling very scattered, was to take what I do when I have a big client load is that I take my clients and work on the ones that have a first name that starts with A through L, for example, on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And then on Tuesday, Thursday, I work on the rest of the alphabet, right? And then what that does is it sets me up to know what I'm doing that day. And then it also conveys to my clients, okay, I'm working on your stuff on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Tuesday, Thursday, depending on what your name is. So it's a very easy system. It just takes a little time to kind of implement it and get used to how it's going to work for you and how it's going to set you up for success.
And and here's a more pragmatic reason to automate and delegate, right? Even if you're against it, whatever issues we have with automation and delegation, the reality is this: as the business owner, CEO, entrepreneur, the top person in the organization, you're a problem solver.
Yep.
And problems, you don't always know how long it will take to solve them, right?
So true.
So, it happens to me. Vulnerability, I am going to share. We have a beautiful campaign that's really well received and everybody enjoys, called Giving Tuesday, right? Well, sometimes, right? And I haven't automated and I haven't delegated it yet. But what happens is sometimes, maybe the website is down, right? Or maybe something else is happening, or it may be such a crazy, like maybe it was a long weekend, like it throws off, my mindset, that I'll forget that it's Tuesday.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, darn it, Giving Tuesday.
Until it's Wednesday and you're like, oh no.
Until it's like, oh, okay. Or it's got to be published at a certain time so it gets picked up by the automatic inbox delivery.
Yep.
So, but there's a perfect example, right, of something small that is important and that people enjoy, both our clients whom we represent and the world that receives it. But and the reason I don't give it up is because I like the creativity of it. So it's more self-indulgence, but at what cost?
Right.
Right. And these are decisions as a business owner, we tend to kind of do more of what we like, right?
It's true. It's true.
You know what I mean? And it's a way of hiding. It's a way of not dealing with things that we need to deal with.
Yep.
So how do you identify? Because here's the thing with delegation. There's a beautiful term, I believe it came from E-Myth, that is called abdication by delegation. Like, you delegate the things you don't want to do, not necessarily the things that you ought to delegate.
Yes.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah. So the way I like to structure it is to have people write down all the things that they do in a day. Including like taking a break, having lunch, time with their kids, whatever it is, write it all down, emails, sessions with clients, everything. And then circle all the things that only you can do. What remains are the things that can be delegated. And that list is often very surprising to people, because they don't realize all the things that they do in a day because they don't put everything into their calendar necessarily. And because they realize, holy crap, there is a lot on the list that I can actually hand off. I think that's a mental block for people because they think, oh, I have to have a big list of things for someone to, come on board and start working with me. When in actuality, because a lot of the clients I work with are those high achieving people who like to hold on to things and they're not quite ready. They know they need a team and they have a little bit of a struggle letting go. It's nice to be able to meet them in the middle with, okay, let's do one little project. Let's start with a newsletter. Let's start with a little bit of social media. Let's start with something small and then build on that success. So you have a strong foundation and then you're able to actually pivot and start taking on these other things. Because once somebody sees the results and the time that they start getting back and more efficiency and all the other things that come in from just implementing the small thing, they are more willing and more excited to hand things off because they know that it's working, and it's a really great feeling, then you're like, oh, like what else can I hand off?
Yeah, in one area that I know, this one actually, trust me, I fail at many things. This one happened to not be it because I enjoy selling, but I know that selling is something that doesn't quite come naturally to everyone, and rightly
Yeah.
so. It's a very unique, it's a very acquired taste. But so usually there's a lot of busyness that we kind of find ourselves in because we are kind of avoiding.
Yeah.
So there's this new movement to not use the word balance, which I get it. When it
Mhm.
comes to life, work, I think it's really more integration than anything else,
Or fusion.
or fusion. However, in your business, there has to be balance. There's
Yeah.
got to be operation. It's like you're a one woman, org chart, right? There's got to be marketing, there's got to be sales, there's got to be accounting, there's got to be fulfillment, there's got to be customer care, especially if you're one person.
Yeah.
But they ought to be balanced between all, right? And is
Mhm.
that something that you also help entrepreneurs identify?
I do, and how that can look is generally I kind of help them take an audit of their business and say, like we just take a big picture snapshot and start looking at how do all the pieces come together? Where are you spending a lot of your time? And this is where people, again, you talked about the different kind of, I call them buckets in the business, and one of those being admin. That's where a lot of people get themselves caught up and things that they could actually free themselves from. So it's an area where they if they have, 10 hours that they're working, maybe they're spending 6, 7 hours there when that's, then of course taking
That's
away.
time sales
Yeah,
time, right?
exactly,
Or
exactly. And it's taking
concentrate,
away from that. Mhm.
or time for your self-care.
Yeah. Yep.
Is there's I always find myself, and this is like, honestly, it's become a little bit of a drinking game, that when it comes to a long weekend, right? I'm the opposite. When I rest, I find it harder to get back into the speed that I was going at. And I know for most people, when they rest, they come back and they're more energized. Of course, for me, it's the opposite. But your body, if you don't make time for to rest, then your body will force you to rest.
Yep.
There's so many weekends, or opportunities, that because we celebrate both Canadian and American long weekends, right? So combined, it's a new rule that we've created. And so there's all of these like extra long weekends that I'm like, oh, if this weekend I'm going to do it, and I have like a laundry list of all the things that I'm going to do about for work, right? And then I'll find out that I did nothing, right? And there's all this like kind of guilt, but on the other hand, it's like you crash. You know what I mean? But you should
Absolutely.
wait, and just like you shouldn't wait until you're so hungry that you'll eat through the packaging, you shouldn't work to the point of collapse, or to the
Mhm.
point that you just like hate your business and hate your job, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's the thing where I tell people, you don't have to wear the cape. It's okay to take off the cape. And, sometimes giving that permission, if you will,
Mhm,
is something that people need to hear because they forget, maybe they've been out of the job force for a while and they forget that structure that they had when they were working. They would go in at 8 and they would leave at 5,
mhm,
take an hour break, have a 15-minute whatever. And a lot of people have gotten away from that, and I think with the everything around the pandemic, that also kind of added a layer, and Carolina, you and I have talked about this at length, like the complicated factors that has layered in for a lot of entrepreneurs to be more on, and because we have our phones and tablets and all the things, it's just so much more accessibility to us, and we need to practice better discipline in shutting that down. And that's one of the reasons, as you know, why, my husband and I guard our weekends like, fierce
mhm.
dogs, we're like, no, it's mine. And then
You
you
know
can't
what?
have it.
And I respect that. And I do not do personal social media at
Yeah.
all. Like
Yep.
anybody that, I nerd alert. I don't, because I
Yep.
have to do it for work, right?
You just,
Like
yeah.
that's what we do.
Hmm.
Um, that I will not do personal social media
Yep.
is, like you said, like on weekends, it's like, you're doing your self-care. Those are my boundaries.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I find that it really, on one hand, I'm sure it would benefit my business to have a little bit more personality.
Maybe a little more personal stuff.
But yeah, but that being said, when your business is your own personal brand, again, that blurriness of boundaries in when do you answer emails, when do you answer texts, when is happening 24/7 globally.
Schedule feature in email is a game changer. You can respond anytime and then schedule it for the next day or Monday or whatever if you feel compelled to write a response right then.
Yeah.
Scheduling is a beautiful gift.
There was a really good disclaimer I saw in an email. I can't remember from where, but it said at the bottom of it, I meant to copy it, but at the bottom of it said, please do not feel compelled to answer immediately. Our time, our work days or our work
Yeah.
hours may differ for various reasons. So
Yeah.
please take your time. And that is just courteousness,
I
right?
love that.
Because
Mhm.
it's like, especially don't you, the ones that mark when the other person has seen it,
Yeah.
right? It is. I always get that high anxiety if I see it, and I
I have to
know they
respond.
know, and I know they know that I know that they know that I know that they know that I've seen it, but I haven't replied, right?
Yes. Yes.
It's, it's a, oh my God, it's almost like we need to unlearn a lot of the behaviors that, yes, they'll make you succeed in the short haul, right? Because it's non-sustainable,
Absolutely.
non-sustainable
And
to
non-scalable.
a non-scalable. And the
Mhm.
thing with automation, I'm going to speak about automation because it's a little bit harder to set up,
Mhm.
not with your help, of course, but overall, it's a little bit harder to set up, but it's easier to fully delegate, opposite to a resource,
Yeah,
right? That might be
for sure.
easier to delegate, but you got to stay on top of it, right? Like
Yep.
once you set it up. So for nurturing, and this is so important, right? Things, and I'm awful at it. So I know I'm saying it and I'm preaching, and it's not happening in the shoemaker's house. Remember people's birthday, like your clients, like
Oh, yeah.
attention to detail, right? Like that's the beauty of automation. Like you
Yep.
can set up nurturing sequences. And Dortha has set up many for me on JotForm and in other simple economic applications. And
Yep.
that's something that when we think automation, we might think enterprise solution.
Yeah, it has to be so expensive, and it
You can
doesn't.
have a baby automation, out
Yeah.
of like regular off the shelf products. And
Yeah,
you've done those for me.
I have.
So how what if you think of top three, like 500 thoughts at once.
I saw that.
If you think of, yes, so did the world. If you think of top three things that you would recommend, simple automations,
Top
what would
3.
those be?
Um, I think, using a tool is effective just as a calendar for things like you were just talking about with those reminders for birthdays, for example. Then you can go in and schedule emails that automatically go out on a person's birthday. That's one simple way that's you already have built in because you're using email and you're probably using a calendar. So there's a kind of a 2 for 1. Um, we talked about Jotform. That's an amazing tool. And even at the free level, you get a lot of tools and a lot of access to things in that program. And you can set up tons of different things inside of that as an automated tool. And I think, if you're using a tool like a scheduler, I think using the native platforms like LinkedIn or Meta, if you're using Facebook and Instagram, are great ways to be able to batch your content and then actually go ahead and schedule it so that you're not having to go, oh gosh, did I post today? You already know it's handled because you've scheduled it or your
And
person
there's so
has.
many connections now. And this is
Yeah.
where I love, like I love technology, but you do technology, right?
Yeah.
Like even little things like connecting. Like right now, you're able to connect Canva with Eventbrite, for example.
Yep.
So before you had to like eek with the
Yep.
image so that it was the right size. Now you can connect. So all those integrations and connections
Huge.
make it, they're a huge saver. And
Yep.
also, like you mentioned Calendly, we're using like like the brain, like 10% of all these applications. They are truly sophisticated.
Yeah.
And I would personally, and I'm going to do an offer for you. You're auto delegating this offer.
Yes.
You want to have a discovery call with Dortha just on jot form alone. Setting up a nurturing sequence, setting up a thank you, setting up a video on your thank you. Like there's so many white glove, above and beyond details that people are not doing that are so easy to do.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to put the link of how someone can get a hold of you and schedule a discovery call and just explore the possibilities.
Yes.
It can be done. It can
Yes.
be, I promise you.
And you mentioned, by the way, sorry, you mentioned Canva. That is like my all-time favorite. I think you know that, for anything like automated, fun things to do, creating things. So I just wanted to throw that in there.
Like there's integrations between Calendly and so, like all of these, connections, and it's so easy to do. It's really easy to do. If I can do it, you can do it. Trust me.
Yep.
And especially with Dortha's guidance, you can definitely do it. So you have a chapter coming up. I know we're over time, but that's okay. You have a chapter coming up in our latest book anthology coming up at the end of June. And it's all about a 30-day challenge.
Yes.
To get you started on freeing up time and through automation and delegation. So we'll put all that information in the comment below. Thank you. Until next time.
Empowering women on a global scale. This has been Powerful Women Today with Carolina Billings. To learn more about how you can join and transform your life and the lives of women everywhere with professional speaking, publishing, podcasting, and web TV, visit powerfulwomentoday.com. Remember to subscribe to this podcast on iTunes, YouTube, or wherever you like to listen and watch your podcasts.